Hey board gamers, this is Will from A Cardboard Minute. Today I'm going to be doing a rules explanation, a solo playthrough, and my review for Race for the Galaxy. This is a card game designed by Tom Lehmann, and in it you are essentially racing to either deplete the pool of victory points available, or to be the first player to build 12 cards into their tableau, and then the winner will be the player with the most victory points. So let's head down to the table and I'll give my explanation. This game is notoriously difficult to explain, but you will see by following my explanation that it is really not that hard, and you can even teach your friends with some of the tips I will give you. So let's begin. All right, so first thing I would suggest is if you are teaching this game to others, is do not give out the player boards. As much as they can be helpful for learning the game on your own, I have found that they serve more to confuse players than to help them. And there's just so much stuff on here, and it's so dense with iconography that it detracts from learning, because players will want to keep looking down and referencing things in their board. And really that's not the best way to do it. The best way to do this is think of the iconography as language. So I'll show you what I mean. First, what we're going to set up, we're going to have 12 victory points per player with the solo expansion, which is found in the Gathering Storm expansion. Now, I have the cards mixed in here. You cannot play solo without it, but the game is still playable from 2 to 4 players without the expansion, and upgraded to 5 with the expansion. I'll do the solo playthrough, the solo player explanation at the end with some timestamps, so if you want to skip ahead to that. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be completing victory point pool, and then that will trigger the end of the game. There will be additional points to draw from if they were needed. Each player is going to be given a starting planet, selected from one of the cards that has the large number in the corner. And if this is your first game and you want to take the sort of the easy mode to learn, you can give each player cards, such as this one, to have a number in the bottom right corner that match the number of your starting world. Otherwise, although all these cards can just be shuffled into the deck, and the remainder of the starting planets can be shuffled into the deck too. Now this is an action selection game, so each player will have a set of action cards to choose from. There are 2 special ones that have this symbol in the corner. This is for the expert 2-player game. We will be using these for the solo, and essentially they are duplicates of some of the other cards. So we'll get to that in a minute. So how a round will play out is each player will secretly choose one of the various action cards, and then all players will simultaneously reveal those action cards, and then you'll begin the round. Now in the 2-player, you could also choose from these additional ones. And in fact, for the 2-player or for the solo, you will be selecting 2 at a time and revealing them both. So it is possible to have 2 phase 2 cards, or 2 phase 3 cards, or even 2 phase 1 cards. If it is something like a phase 1 card, you just add up to get them together. But things like a phase 2 or phase 3, they will be individual phases that you will go through. But continuing on with the regular game explanation, I'll just go over through what the phases do, and that is the easiest way to explain. Phase 1, Explore, is how you find more cards. You will have a hand of 6 cards when you begin the game that have been randomized unless you use the preset starting hand, and then you will discard down to 4. But to get more cards into your hand, there's a few methods. But the primary, especially when you're looking for something to work with your tableau or your collection of cards, is the Explore action. Now, what happens when the Explore action, when any action is chosen, the player who actually played the cards that match that phase will gain a bonus, as shown in the red here, the numbers. Or sometimes there's a different variety, like the 2 different Explore cards. Everyone else at the table will also take that action, but only the players who selected the card for that phase will have the bonus associated with it. So think of it as really as a language of iconography. So here we have the little eyeball symbol means looking at cards, and the hand means keeping cards. So the basic action for Explore is draw 2 cards, keep one of those, and then discard the other one. If you played the Explore +1/+1 card, you are adding to the basic action. So you are now drawing 3 and keeping 2 of those. Or, with the other option, you are drawing +5, so you're drawing 7 cards and keeping 1. So if there's really something specific you're looking for your collection of cards, this is a good one to go for that. Now, playing cards, let's get into the next 2 phases. So next we have Develop. Develop is phase 2, and all players will get to play a development card as long as the develop phase has been chosen. However, the player that actually chose the develop card will get a reduced cost of 1 to the development that they play. Developments have a diamond background, so let's use this one here. Now, how to play cards, you'll notice that there are 2 numbers in the top left. And those numbers could be 0 or they could be more. The first number is how many cards from your hand you will have to discard to pay for this card. It is the cost. And on the right is the little hexagon symbol, which matches these little guys. That is the victory points that you will gain at the end of the game for having this card as part of your tableau. Each card in play will also have essentially a different row for each of the different phases. So what you need to do is you need to look down the row and see any icons that match up with that phase. For example, that development card we just played has a -1 to develop the cost of developments. So when I take the develop action, I get a discount. In this case, I'd be able to play this one for free, and it would add my collection. Similarly, all cards in your tableau, or your collection of cards, until the in-game trigger of 12, of course, will add to those actions. So you will look across all of your cards from if you're doing phase 1 Explore, you will look at all the phase 1s and all your cards and add everything together. So having this card in play will let me look at 1 additional card when I do the Explore action. And you'll see the +1 here for settling. We'll get to that soon. There are also 2 different types of development cards. There's the ones like I showed you that just have the standard point value written and the cost, but then there are the 6-point cards. And with the 6-point cards usually have a question mark, which means that they will score differently. And only at the end of the game, of course. There are many different ones in the game that pertain to different strategies that you may want to pursue, and they're all different. In this case, you will get 1 point at the end of the game for each military strength you have. Now, this is one of the reasons, like I said, why I didn't want to hand out the player cards, is because it confuses you. The numbers and the symbols are so simple, really, when you look at them. Anything that is special or different on any of the cards that requires more of a rules explanation really handily has everything written in plain English on the card. And you'll find that for everything that is confusing or different or unique has wording. So there's not all that much to teach. All right, so moving on to the next set of actions is the settle. So phase 3 is how you actually get planets on the board. The bonus for choosing the settle card is you get to draw a card afterwards. Because you say here, there is a planet symbol, and then you draw a card. So when you play a planet, you draw a card. Only when you choose this, of course. Everyone else who is playing, who did not play the settle card, will get to play a planet, but we're following the regular cost, of course. Or, of course, if the settle phase was not chosen, it will not happen. Now, playing a planet is very similar to playing the different developments. You will look at the cost on the top left, and there will be victory points associated with it too. Discard cards from your hand matching the cost, and it enters into play. Now there are a few different planets as well as military planets which the costs work a little differently, which I will show you some examples of. Now, in terms of the non-military planets, which are identified by having a black border, that's compared to the military planets which have a red border and red lettering. For example, these two are military and these two are not. There may also be different varieties of goods that that planet may produce, shown either by a colored halo, which represents a windfall world, or a production world that has a filled-in color. And this could happen in either military planets, for example, this red military with a yellow background, or non-military, same thing for windfall. Now we'll get into what the goods do in a minute. There are four major colors. There are four colors. They're blue, brown, green, and yellow. And this is important for part of the engine building aspect of the game, where you are getting goods and trading them for points and other things. Now, if you play a planet with a windfall, it will actually come with a good, which you will take a random card off the top of the deck and place it underneath. You may only have one good per planet at maximum, and the card represents a good of that color. Planets that just have the filled-in color do not come with a good. You will have to produce one. Now we'll get to producing goods later, and what to do with goods will be coming up soon. Now, first let's cover military cards. So you may have seen earlier there was these red plus symbols. You don't start off with any military strength unless your starting planet has it. But if you add up all of your plus numbers that are in red, that will give you a total value of military strength. So for example here, I have +1, +1, and +2. So I have a military strength of 4, which means I could play a card like this guy that has 4 military for free during my planet playing settling phase. Of course, you can only play one planet per settle phase. And I wouldn't have to discard any cards because that is considered a military conquering. Now, there are plenty of keywords you'll notice as well that are pretty easily highlighted and may be referred to in certain cards. Generally, if they refer to them in any way, you'll see the symbol quite clearly and like an arrow or something associated with it. And some keywords you may see are things like rebel, which is mostly military worlds. You may see alien, right, which is nicely colored in yellow here. Uplift in green. You may also see a little gene symbol in the corner here. And there are a few other ones like terraforming and stuff like that. Those really pertain to particular cards that will reference them usually by word or by that little gene symbol. So it's usually pretty self-explanatory once you see them. All right, next we will cover, we're going to skip phase 4, which we'll come back to phase 4 because it's a little more complicated. And we'll move on to phase 5, produce. So when you're producing, everyone who did not play the card, but the produce phase is still active, will get to take a look at all of their planets that have a solid color. And if there is not a good in that planet, they will draw a random card and add a good to that planet, a maximum of 1 good. Windfall planets that have that colored halo do not gain goods during the settle phase. However, if you actually chose a settle card, you'll see at the bottom here, place a good on a windfall planet. So the players who chose this card will get to place 1 good on 1 windfall planet. Not all of them, just 1. All right, so what are goods used for? This is for the consume phase. The consume phase has 2 options, and they will happen in order of trade, and then double VPs. So if consume is chosen, all players must consume as much as possible following their planets. Only the player who gets to trade, who plays the trade card, gets to do a trade action, and the players who play the double VPs will get twice as much points earned during this phase, unless stated otherwise. Now, first happens is consume, or the trade consume. You'll see each type of good is worth a certain number of cards, and you will take a good off one of your plants and sell it for that many cards. So for my example here, remove the green good, and here let's discard face down, and get 4 cards from the deck into my hand. You do have a maximum hand size of 10. At the end of the round, you will have to discard down, but there are cards that may also increase that. Of course, after trade, regular consume will still happen for all players, including the trade player. There may also be cards that increase your trade ability that will show up under the number sign. So for example here, we have, when I'm trading a blue card, I'll get an additional 3. So maybe if I had this card in play, instead of trading the green good for 4, I'll trade the blue good for 2 plus 3. So a blue good for 5 is even better. So you see how the abilities will stack up. You just have to look down the line. All right, next is the double VPs. That's pretty self-explanatory. Usually you'll have something that says, goods, good, trade for points. Each consume plant must be used if possible. Of course, you can control the order that they are used, so that may change things a little bit. If it has this multicolor icon, that means it will take any good of any color, but some plants will require specific goods of certain colors, or even something like discarding a card. And that is pretty well it. You keep playing round after round until the victory points are completed, or someone has 12 cards in their tableau. Now, I'm going to get into the solo explanation, and then I'll do a couple quick shifts around and shuffling and stuff here to get ready for a solo playthrough. So the solo board that comes with the Gathering Storm expansion will have a certain amount of setup required. So you'll have to first assign a random starting world to the AI player. And that number from the starting world will dictate how the turn is set up, or how the player is set up. So you see at the back, there's a little handy guide on which pieces you need to grab. There are a whole bunch of these little tokens that I have off to the side here that match each plant. Once you've found them, you just have to place them on the matching color spots. So since I have Epsilon Iridinae, which is number 1, I've got to place some little tokens on the one here, and this one here, and that there. And this really is quite nice because it adapts the AI to certain strategies. I'm going to play on standard difficulty, which means 2 of these 6-point tokens. And unless stated otherwise, the amount of money that the player has starts off at 1. Also, there is 4 cards that are dealt into a kind of a randomized stack here, which the player, the AI player, will be building from. Turns in solo will work much the same as they do for the advanced 2-player game, where you'll be choosing 2 actions at a time, and then doing both those, or combining them if they're phase 1, for example. However, I won't actually need the cards, as long as I kind of remember what the different actions do, because instead I'm going to be placing these 2 little tokens on the actions I want to take. Then I will roll the 2 chunky dice here and place them on the location spots necessary. So, for example, he rolled a diamond, so he's also going to play development. And the little robot symbol usually corresponds to a token that you have for that player. In this case, he'll take a copy action, which is the same as the purple star. And a copy action means, starting from the right, he'll do the same action that you are. So it just works out this round that we're only doing development and settle. And then you just go down the row, and depending on whether the AI player is doing a action that is unique from yours or doing the same as yours, you'll be doing different actions. If it's unique, you'll do the top part. If it is the same as if it is the same as yours or unique, it'll do the top. If you chose an action and it did not, it will do the bottom part instead. So here we have explore, draw a card, draw 2 cards, shift the money symbol over, or by itself, just draw a card. Development, if it has at least $2, it will build one of these 6-point cards, tokens, if possible, and then decrease its wealth by $2. Otherwise, it will add a card to its stack and then begin flipping over cards until it hits a development, and then it will build it automatically for free. If it hits a 6-point or a 6-cost development card, it will build it at a cost of $1, assuming it has the dollar. If it is reacting to your action selection and it did not select development itself, it will still do the same thing, but at an increased cost of an extra $1. So $3, or it will not draw cards, but it will, if as long as it has $1, it will build development, following the same method. I have a special token for building military worlds, but normally, if it is the AI is settling, it will add 3 cards to its stack, flip them over until it finds a world that is not military or is military in this case, and then build it. On reaction, it will, as long as it has $1, add 2 cards, flip until it finds a world, and then spend $1 and build that world. Now this stack will kind of grow and shrink as the game plays, because every time when you flip it over, those cards get discarded. So if it has not really any cards to choose from, then it's not going to build anything. Next, trade, it will increase its money by 2. Gain points equal to its economy, which is shown by this little tracker here. If it does the 2 times points, it will get double that amount of points. If it shows both, it will do the double amount of points first, and then it will do the trade action. Otherwise, it just gets 1 times its point value for its economy. And then, of course, if it rolled the good action, it will increase the economy by 1. And that is essentially it. It plays basically by the same rules you do. And that's it. So let's begin playing. And I'm going to do a couple quick setup things. I got to shuffle all these cards from my explanation back in. And then we're going to get started. So like I explained in my, my rules overview, I don't actually get to use the various action cards. I'm just choosing tokens and placing them and then rolling the AI dice. He is starting with the military world. I have the Earth's Lost Colony, and I've drawn myself starting hand of 6 cards, and I got to discard 2. So this is not a bad start. I already have a blue card, so maybe I should go for that for now. I think at start, I'm going to discard maybe that military world. Normally you would discard kind of face down, but it doesn't really matter here. And I don't need 2 contract specialists. In fact, you can only build 1 of each type of card. So I'm going to get rid of that one too. The colony ship could be nice. It lets me discard this card in order to play a normal world for like a non-military world for free, as long as it's not yellow. So unfortunately, I can't play the deserted library. But overall, this is not a bad hand. So I think at first, I'm going to go for more options. I'm going to choose the Explorer, and then I want to get that blue world out there. The AI goes, oh, wow, okay, he's copying me twice. All right, that is fine. So first, let's do mine. Draw 3, keep 2. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? The Star Nomad layer could be good. I'm not doing much military, so let's keep that. I'm going to spread out my hand here so you guys can see. And then the AI is going to go. He's going to add a card to his stack and increase his money. All right, next, settle. I'm going to play this by discarding probably the deserted alien library. And then that's the end of the round. Next, I think I'm going to want to get this one out, and I can do it with the contract specialist. It's pretty handy if you're not going for a military route. This guy will let you, first of all, it's going to give you -1 military, so if you do have military, you do not want to play this. But it will let me, during the settle phase, play a military card at the same cost value as the number it's shown, as if it was a non-military world, however, not yellow. So I might, since I can choose two things, I'm going to go for develop and then settle and try to get those both into play. And then let's roll. Woo. All right, he's developing as well, and he's selling some goods. All right, so since I played the develop action, I get a discount of 1 on that contract specialist. I'm going to put my plants up here and developments down here for now. And then he is going to, similar idea, he's got 2 money already. So, and he selected this, so he's going to build his 6-point card and spend both his money. Next, I'm going to settle. So since I have the contract specialist, and that gives me lets me settle this as if it was a non-military world, but I can also get a reduction of 1. I get to build that for free, and he's going to come and play with a windfall. So I got my first good. This card, there's a circle. It specifically refers to its own self. So if I trade a blue good from itself, I get an extra card. And you know what? It explains it in the bottom. Like I was saying, anything complicated, it says it clearly in words. All right, so he's going to copy my action because, or not copying, but he's going to do the following. So he gets to draw 2 cards, and now we're going to start flipping from his pile until he gets a military world. Oh, yeah, okay, well, he got one right away. There, and you want all your really need to see is the point values. If there's not too much glare there, there we go. Yeah, let's readjust a little bit, watch for the glare. So he's already way ahead of me in points here. And then we're going to trade good. We're going to sell goods, or consume, sorry, not sell. I have 1 good to consume. I cannot trade, however. So you see here, because I did not choose the trade action, I have to consume using this one here. So my windfall world good is gone. Start a discard pile. And however, I do get a point. So that's something. Let's stack them over here. And then then he is going to get double his point value, which is 2. And that's it. Oh, and then he increases. Yep. Well, that is not ideal. Okay, I need to step up my game a little bit here. So I don't have much in hand, but I want goods. So I'm definitely producing goods so I can fill these guys up. And maybe I'll explore some more because I could really use some more card options. I would love to sell something, but I can't really yet. So, all right, let's roll. Okay, well, same thing. Develop, and 2 times. All right, first I'm going to explore and draw 3. Keep 2. None of these are really useful. I don't really have any green worlds this one wants. Just in case, yeah, we'll get rid of that one. Now here, could be good if I can start getting those out. All right, he is going to, looking at his development. Oh, sorry, he just gets 1 card. All right, moving on to development. Maybe I will play this development and discard these 2 cards to play, because this one will let me play that world for free if I can get a good one. All right, now so for his development, he has no money, so instead he's going to draw a card, And then he's going to flip cards until he gets a development. And there is one there. Okay, on to consuming. I have nothing to consume. He is going to get 4 points. Here, let's take this one here. And then advance is consuming, which is really not good for me. Then we're going to produce. His follow is nothing, but I get to put a good on each of these worlds, which is really going to help, I think. All right, next phase. I'm still behind here. Okay, I definitely need to sell because I need to get some cards in hand. And maybe draw more cards? I'm really card poor right now, unfortunately. So hopefully he'll roll something different. Okay, here we have develop and then goods. All right, so explore. 1, 2, 3, and oh wait, and an extra. I get to look at 4 cards. Keep 2 of them. Okay, here's a nice blue one for my collection. This new economy could be good. It gives me 2 points per development of consume. I don't have it right now. At 1 point per world of consume, which I only have 1. If I build this guy, that would be 2. So it's possible. Maybe I'll keep that one as well, and but the merchant world could really kickstart me, because this lets me get 2 extra goods when I sell, and I can discard a card up to twice to get 1 point, but I can't double it. You know what? Let's take that. Okay, on to the AI. He gets a card for that. Now he's going to develop. He does not have enough money for a 6-pointer, so he's going to flip over some cards. And there's a nice development for him. All right, now I'm going to trade. So let's sell this guy here for blue is the base cost of 2, and then an extra. So that's 3 cards into my hands. And then I have to consume the rest. So I get to consume 1 from here for a point. Okay, now he is going to get points equal to his phase here, which is his economy, which is 3. And now he's going to produce goods, which just means he raises his economy. And I get only 1 good because I did not choose the produce phase. I did not get any goods on my windfall planets. So that's important to note. Okay, I am kind of falling behind here. Consumer markets could be key if I can get it out, because it'll let me sell up to 3 goods at a time, and when I produce, I draw cards equal to the number of economy, which is the blue goods that I produced that phase. I really need to get this out. Maybe Merchant World at the same time with the free action. Let's try that. I'm going to make develop and settle. Or should I wait and try to put out secluded world for 1 more? No, I think maybe the bonus to selling. Well, you want? Yeah, sure. Secluded world it is. Okay, let's roll. Oh, double copying it again. All right, that's fine. Okay, development. First, let's put this one out. I get discounts, so I only have to pay 4 cards. And then the AI, since he chose it as well, he has no money still. So he's going to draw a card. And then we're going to start flipping over and see if we can find ourselves development. And there we go. Next, settle. It's kind of a waste, but I'm going to sell this one for free using my colony ship. And then he is going to draw 3 cards and start looking for military worlds. No, nothing. Okay. That's probably a stroke of luck for me. All right, I need to start doing stuff here. All right, I definitely need to produce, and probably to start selling goods for points. Let's double up on the point values here. All right, roll. All right, he is also producing, and he is developing. Developing is going to happen first. I have nothing to develop. I have no cards in hand at all. And he is going to draw a card, and then, yep, reveal, he builds it. Next, we're going to go into consume. So I'm going to get double point values. And since I can trade up to 3 goods here, I'm just going to do that. Trade for 2 goods, and that will be 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what the AI is going to do is he's going to gain his economy value, which is 4 points. Ouch. Now we're going to produce. And since I actually chose produce, I do get to place a good on my windfall planet. So I got 4 goods now. And he is going to raise his economy value by 1. Okay, next phase. Yeah, oh yeah, and I get to draw cards because I produced and I put 4 goods out. I get to draw 4 cards thanks to my consumer markets. Does it help me? No, not really. Okay. You know what? Let's just do it again. I'm going to double and then produce. I need to try to milk my little engine here for as many points as possible right now. So let's roll. All right, he's developing again, and he's selling. Oops, I keep keeping these in the wrong spot. All right, so development's going to happen first. Do I want to add a development? You know what? Maybe I will just for point's sake. Yeah, let's just put this one here and discard this one for 1. So he's going to get a card. He's going to flip it. Oh, and it's development. Okay, lucky him. Okay, now trading is going to get $2. And then goods, which is 5. Ooh, looks like this is going to be end of game here. Yep, and then I have to, okay, selling, and then trading comes, sorry, the multiplying. I get to trade, sell my good, not sell, consume. I get to consume my goods at doubled point values, and I can put 3 blue here and 1 here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, which also means that I need to dip into the extra VP because there's not enough here. So I'm going to take a 10 chip and put 2 back. Okay, and then goes the produce, which just puts 4 goods. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I get to draw 4 cards because they're all blues. 2, 3, 4. And unfortunately, that is the end of the game. The AI has exhausted the VPs already, which is not good for me. But you know, that's just the way it goes. So if there was 1 point left, I think, you know, as long as there was 1 chip left, we would have kept going. Oh no, but then I ran out, of course. I already went over. So that's it. It's done. Let's count up our final points here. Let's see, I have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I have 23 points. And let's see what the AI's got here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 34. All right, so he definitely beat me by a fair margin there. So definitely a tough AI. He kind of cheats a little bit, but pretty fair. I mean, the fact that he more or less plays by the rules and could have gotten unlucky or less lucky rolls. So let's head back up to the top, and I'll give you guys my review on this game. So that was Race for the Galaxy with the Gathering Storm expansion, adding some solo. I think the AI player got a little bit lucky in a couple places, but really they cheat a lot. or maybe I just didn't do so well. Maybe I got unlucky. I don't know. I always seem to lose on my solo playthroughs, which is hilarious because I don't often lose on these games. I mean, maybe I'm just bad. Who knows? Either way, I've played this game so many times now, especially on the app, which makes the gameplay very easy. The app, however, does not play the same way as the solo. It actually uses a learning AI that actually kind of learns from your playthroughs and will get better based on online data and player data, and does get progressively better and better as you play it. And I've played it so many times. I'm probably embarrassed to look at how many times I've played this. But there's just that much flexibility in the engine building. You know, like I kind of went for Blue Worlds here, but I could have easily gone for a number of different strategies, or just gone with the flow and taken whatever I could. There are so many cards here that interact in so many different ways, and you never feel like you can't do something. You know, I mean, unless you have like a military card that you can't play because you don't have military. But there are so many ways around things. There's so many actions to do. You're constantly getting stuff and building stuff. Even when it's not your turn, sometimes actions will pop up from other players that will let you draw cards or spend cards or build things. And because of that, there is just a constant flow throughout the game that is really exciting. That and the fact that the turns are simultaneous. Everyone is kind of doing their own thing. I would suggest if you are playing mostly new and inexperienced players from this game, that maybe you walk through the first round or each time, or the first time each phase shows up in the game, and then from there let them handle it themselves unless they have questions, because the simultaneous gameplay makes this a 20-ish minute, 20 to 30 minute game really, even at 5 players, which is unheard of for a game of this complexity in strategy. You know, there's really quite a lot to do. The iconography, like I said, if you get carried away, I feel like it can overwhelm you, but keep it simple, keep it to the basics. You know, hand means card, arrow means, you know, pay this thing or get this thing or whatever. You know, red X means discard this card. You know, point chip symbol means it's worth victory points or you get victory points. You know, the colors of goods. It's all pretty clear. And like I said, anytime there's anything complicated, like this is one of the more complicated cards where you trade 3 different types of goods for 3 points. But, you know, it actually says it in plain English on the side. So, I mean, really, as long as you can read the language or get a version that follows the same language as you, then it works. In terms of theme, I think the theme more or less plays through here. Obviously, it's not a super deep civilization building game where you're moving your armies and stuff around. But when you look at how the names of the cards and what they do kind of work. You know, like, you know, the last card I played here, the new military tactics, lets me discard it for temporary boost of 3 military. And that actually makes sense. You know, like you develop some sneaky new tactic, you get a sudden increase to your kind of military strength, but then after that, it's been learned and it's gone. Right? Or, you know, let's see here. What else is interesting? You know, Lost Species Ark World. You know, like they don't really, it's worth a lot. You know, they're traveling through space. They produce rare good, like the green goods, and give cards for it. You know, but that's But then that's it. There's no other production or anything. So anyways, like you have to extrapolate a little bit, I find, to get the theme. But it's such a fast game that I don't think it matters that much. And there is enough theme. I think they did do their best to theme the cards and the abilities based on what the actions do. The mining robots, for example, gives me a discount to Earth-based worlds, or the brown worlds. Makes sense to me. So I think that works. The components quality, the cards are quite nice, linen finish. This is an older version, so I can't say the same for the newest versions, but I'm assuming it's about the same. You may or may not want to sleeve them. Mine are starting to get a little roughed up, but that's after many plays. The little chips have always been kind of annoyingly small, but they're functional. They work. These chunky AI dice are fantastic from the Gathering Storm expansion, and there is the fact that there is nice little AI tokens that get slotted in based on the starting worlds. It changes up how the AI works, and I think that's interesting, and makes it a little more thematic in how they do, even though there's very minimal player interaction. I guess that is one knock or positive against the game is there's not a ton of player interaction. Except for trying to guess what someone might do. They've got a lot of production worlds that are short on goods. Maybe they're going to take a production term, and you can piggyback on that by doing a consume, and then let them refill your worlds for you by doing that. There's a little bit of guessing, but you're not really interacting with each other directly too much. And really, I'm fine with that. I think that would probably slow the game down a lot, having to resolve interactions. And it's already such a fast game. The Gathering Storm expansion, while I'm at it, also comes with a series of goals that you can work towards, where it's like a first come first serve target. Have this many windfall worlds, or this many cards in hand, or things like that. You can add them in or not. It's pretty much optional. So overall, I'd like to say that this game is highly recommended. If you think your group is, willing to dive into the symbology, right? Teach it like a language, not like a bunch of individual icons that need to be memorized, right? And that'll hopefully get them through the door, and get them into playing sooner. It is still fairly, kind of medium-ish difficulty game. I probably wouldn't recommend it to brand new gamers, just because they may start looking at the cards and do feel overwhelmed. But anyone who's got a certain amount of gaming under their belt is probably okay with being willing to learn and follow that. It should be just fine. So again, highly recommended. You can always check out the app if you want to see. And as an engine building, this has really become a classic. I think even though it's several years old now at this point, it's really stood the test of time. So, so let me know in the comments, what are some of your favorite engine building games? I've got a handful of them back here. We'll probably get to eventually. And please like and subscribe. And thanks for watching.